And welcome back to part 9 of What If Raditz and Goku Had Gone to Earth Together. Last time on the Dragon Ball Z What If, Trunks had come, Frieza had come and gone, Cold had come and Trunks had taken care of him, and then Trunks went to go tell Goku, or Kakarot in this case, and the gang, what it basically is, what's going to go down. Now, someone did bring up the question, or bring up the legit, not complaint, but legit thing to bring up, I guess we'll call it. That once Trunks realizes what's going on, he might talk to Bulma. He might ask what's going on, if, this isn't his timeline, what exactly happened. But I do think he still goes to Kakarot, Radditz, and Bardock, because he's still a good guy. He knows the androids may still very well show up, so he should still warn this timeline. So that happens. And he shows off Super Saiyan to him, explains the best he can how to get Super Saiyan, and, leaves to, try to fix the timeline, whatever. Now, when it comes to the training for Super Saiyan, this is interesting because we don't have now a time frame of when the androids are going to show up, because this is not the right timeline. So how's it going to go down? They know this. So it's like, literally, the androids could show up almost never, or show up any day. They need to get stronger, and they need to figure out Super Saiyan, all that. Well, luckily, because the time chamber is pretty much fixed now by Kami and can pretty much be used indefinitely, Goku, Radditz, and Bardock, and Gohan to some extent. Gohan's still definitely going to get some training in, but because he's nowhere near the power he needs to be right now to be taking on the androids, his training, while still taking place, is a secondary priority. But don't get me wrong, he still gets training, absolutely. They basically take rotational turns in the hyperbolic time chamber, trying to hit Super Saiyan in training, because they can get a year's worth of training in a day. Meanwhile, while two are in their training, the other stays out and keeps watch, just on the off chance, along with Kami, who's keeping an eye on Earth and all that. Now, how long in this version does it take for the androids to show up? Well, seeing as I've really spaced it out quite a long ways past the original point, I'm going to say they show up, honestly, within a year. Within a year, they probably show up. Now, within that year, though, thanks to the little bit of information they were able to gather from Trunks, and for the information, and, getting able to get more than just a year's worth of training in the hyperbolic time chambers, thanks to that, plus whatever time they spend outside the hyperbolic time chamber training, they do all eventually hit Super Saiyan. And Gohan even manages to hit a much higher level power as well. Again, because they're able to really put some effort into his training, I think maybe one of them even takes him into the time chamber once for, maybe Goku takes him in there at least once. Gohan's power is probably at this point close to his canon levels, if not maybe even a little higher. He hasn't hit Super Saiyan yet, because that's just not what they're focusing on for Gohan. Gohan just is getting some training with his son, or getting training with his dad. The question is, how effective of training have they? Let me rephrase that sentence. How much control do they have over Super Saiyan? Do they have the perfected Super Saiyan like Goku and Gohan did after they got out of training in the time chamber? Or is this more akin to, say, just the Saiyan Saga level of training? Well, honestly, because they get so much time in the hyperbolic time chamber, now they're not stupid. They know the fact that because they're getting a year, and if they were to literally go in there every single day, they would die, because they'd be aging up a year every day. And that's just not smart. It's more the fact that they probably had spent like a few days in there, so they did get some years on them, but luckily Saiyan's age slower, so it's not that big a deal. More importantly, though, they probably hit Super Saiyan within the first training session or the second, which then they spent the second or third, training and really working on Super Saiyan. So I do believe they probably would have the perfected Super Saiyan forms at this point, which would, in all rationale, put them, honestly, given power levels, and at this point now we're past the numbers. Someone did ask me, and I did comment, because it's something I thought about doing power level videos. At some point, I will get around to doing those. Those were something I had planned out a long time ago, before I even had the OBS. So I could actually have imagery up there to, talk to, address things. But yeah, right now it just doesn't seem like a time. We've got a lot of other outstanding things. I'm doing the Death Battle tournaments. And honestly, I say that out loud. Maybe after I do finish the Death Battle tournaments and do a couple more like worst to best videos, because I got a bunch of those lined up too at some point, I'll start doing a power level series. But I want to get at minimum, I want to get the Death Battle tournaments done. And I got to type out the new round 3 of pairings. So anyway, I digress. So they get out, and they're probably beyond their, honestly, cell game power levels, because I had them at power levels much higher than their canon power levels when they were probably training. I mean, I'm guessing. I don't know. Maybe Goku's base was around 25 million when he got back. I don't know. Anything's possible. Probably not, but anything's possible. And then you factor in, training. They're probably at minimum cell game level, if not higher. So when they finally hit that level of power in the time chamber, which probably isn't in the full year, they spend the rest of the year just kind of like relaxing, keeping their skills up, training, all that. Go on again, like I said, gets some solid training in. He's probably right around his canon level, maybe even higher. He hasn't hit Super Saiyan yet, but I imagine I'll give him Super Saiyan at some point. Who knows? Maybe it's at the end of this video. I'll admit, this particular episode I am playing a little bit, not entirely, but by a little bit by the seat of my pants. But there is a mapped out plan in my head. Don't worry. But yes, eventually the Kami does let them know that there's something going on. Destruction's going on. Now, one question that does get brought up, or would get brought up, is, does Goku get the heart virus? Because so many people keep going with I get so many people in the comments who constantly say, Goku got the heart virus from Yardrat. Didn't he get it from Yardrat? It's like, I could see why people would believe that, because as far as we know, he was the first one to get it, but we don't actually know he was. People just assume that's the case, but if that were the case, let's also remember that we've gone back to Yardrat in the manga before. Goku was trained in the Dragon Ball Super manga on Yardrat. There was no heart virus incidents there. And that's not to say that that couldn't have come from Yardrat, but honestly, there's no indication it did. Because new diseases, look at freaking COVID. New diseases spring up all the time. So I've always gone by the idea that no, it's just it was a new virus and he happened to be one of the people who got it. Does he get it here? Yes, and Trunks didn't leave him the medicine because he didn't assume that, the timeline would be messed up. However, just on the off chance that he did, Kami had kept the Dragon Balls prepared. And, when Kami contacts them about the androids, Goku's starting to feel the effects. His dad and and Radditz both notice this, and they quickly contact Kami saying, it's Kakarot. I think it could be the virus. Prepare the Dragon Balls. Correct. And he wishes it, Lord Shenron, please rid Goku of the heart virus he suffers from. Your wish is granted. Very well. Anyway, so yeah, Goku, no virus. So now we go into, what was it, West City? I can't remember the cities. So anyway, Jiro and 19 are wreaking havoc. Now, unfortunately, most of the other Z-Fighters just don't show up at this point because they've unfortunately become a little obsolete in this era. This isn't the same scenario where they all had to keep training to protect the Earth. No, Radditz, Goku, Bardock, Gohan now, their powers were eclipsing theirs long prior, to the point where they kind of just lived their lives. I brought this up in the last one. So basically, they're looking around, they can't sense the energy. Eventually, Jiro, 20, and 19 show up, and Goku, Radditz, and Bardock, emerge. And, they said, let's take this elsewhere. It's like, it won't matter, but very well, Goku. Oh, Kakarot. And they head up. Now, we know for a fact that 18 and 17 are stronger than they are in their original timeline, according to Trunks. the thing about that is because 19 and 20 don't exist in Trunks' timeline, we can't say for all intent and purposes whether or not they are stronger timeline-wise. But what we can say is because there's always been more information because of Radditz and Goku and Frieza and Cold showing up and Vegeta, that these guys are probably stronger than their canon counterparts. Same with 18 and 17. Unfortunately, we are talking about Cell Game Saga levels of power between Raditz, Bardock, and Goku and being the strongest. I think Raditz is this time overtaking his dad, and then Bardock falling up in the rear. So, they're squaring off saying, you and your family destroy the road beyond. We shall take our revenge. And, in 19, squares up, I shall take all of your energy. And Goku just powers up the Super Saiyan. It's like, what is this? It's a new trick we learned from a new friend. And their fight begins. And I do think there is that one moment where he fires an energy blast and 19 just absorbs it. And they realize, they absorb energy through their hands, Kakarot! Don't be a fool! It's like, right, can't do that anymore. Unless, and then Kame, well, Kakarot, what are you doing? Kame, I will steal all of your energy. And Goku, instead, remember what he did to Butter and Jace? Yeah, Butter and Jace. Sorry, I was gonna say thinking Raccoon. Remember when he just kind of appeared and teleported? That wasn't instant transition. It was pure speed. That's what he does here. It's like it just kind of does the Cell thing. Just, crap baskets. No, let me do 19. Crap baskets. Boom, just blows out his midsection. And now Dro's like, you're tired, Kakarot. I will take my rebound. And all of a sudden, boom, they get smacked around by no, Kakarot's had his fun. Now it's my turn. It's like, yes, don't think he's the only one you're fighting. Remember, you want revenge on all of us. It's no fair if he has all the fun. And Andrew's like, because he wasn't expecting a super. He might have been able to anticipate Ozaru because he had seen the drastic increases, and even against Frieza, he was still able to calculate the 10 times multiplier. So he could calculate possibly for Ozaru. He didn't calculate for Super Saiyan. It's like, these power ups. No, I will not. No, and then I will not know. And then Kakarot's like, you're not going anywhere. I was like, no, and they take him out. So Dero got taken out. 19 got taken out. So what happens now? Well, 17 and 18 are sound asleep. So is 16. Cell does show up. It's kind of like a Trunks. Different timeline, same method of getting there. So he does still wind up in this timeline, I would imagine, because Trunks wound up in let's actually think of it this way. Trunks wound up in this timeline. Is it possible that the Trunks we always get in these versions, whose timeline's different, could he have gone back and then gone to the canon timeline? I mean, anything in theory is possible. I mean, if this were live, I'd ask you guys if you want me to go with Cell shows up in this timeline or Cell doesn't show up in this timeline, in which case Cell just has to ruminate and just, grow. I'll say this. For the sake of smoother story, because we're already at part 9, but Cell Saga is not really happening right now. Or it could happen, but we're only at almost 14 minutes now. To smooth it over, let's say that Cell doesn't show up in this timeline. Like Trunks' Cell doesn't show up in this timeline. Let's say there's now basically 7 years of peace. Gohan at this point continues to train, continues to study. He gets Super Saiyan. Kakarot, Raditz, and Bardock hit Super Saiyan 2. However, during the tail end of those years of peace, and by the way, yes, Golden Ozaru I think would be a thing. They would probably experiment if they could use Golden Ozaru. That said, though, they're also aware that because they've all learned to control their Ozaru forms, but then going Super Saiyan, all right, let's try it. And then even Bar's like, okay, we're going to need to train on this a bit. And Goku's like going insane. Or Kakarot again. I'll go back and forth. But during that time period, they do sense something wake up. Like, Cell's power is as bare minimum, and even at its bare minimum, it's still probably pretty strong. But they could easily handle it. But what happens is, he's like, I am awake. Where am I? The lab. My directive is to merge with my brother and sister. And he goes up, and sure enough, he sees 17 and 18. Thank you, Father. Your revenge will be complete. As he opens it up, 18 briefly, or 17 briefly, I'll say, and 18 just, it's like a horror movie pretty much. And all of a sudden, Cell's output is just boom. Yes. Perfect. Now, to find Kakarot and Bardock and Radditz. So now you have him flying up, but now we can sense his energy. Or now they can sense his energy. So they all feel that. What is that? This isn't good. And they fly off, and they eventually go to a run. It's like, there's the Proud family. How are you? Who are you? That's a good question without an answer. I was never really given a name, although, given the status of my creation, given the origin of my creation, I think Cell would be an appropriate name. I am the final and perfect creation of the late Dr. Gero, and my objective is simple: to kill you three and destroy this puny world. And now I don't even have to waste my time looking for you. You came to me. And they're standoff, and so like, this guy's powers like, so then, I do need a bit of a warm-up, and I believe, Kakarot, you're the strongest one, which will put you, Fadario or Radditz as the weakest one. We juggle back and forth, and they'll power up the Super Saiyan, all of them. I want it first, Kakarot. Oh, by all means, try your best. And they're duking it out for us, and Cell's being pushed, sure. But, he's still, because remember, I'd imagine the 18 and 17 to also be stronger in this version, so that would make Cell stronger than his canon version. But then eventually, all right, enough of this! Powers up the Super Saiyan 2, which Cell's not prepared for, like, Bardock's now beating the crap out of him. He fires a Kamehameha, because I'm sure he's learned that. Blast him. Cell's able to regenerate at least the one time. It's like, ugh, is that the best you've got, old man? No. No. Then all of a sudden he's got 2 energy balls. I always like this, the way Goku did this technique in GT. I don't like a lot of GT, but there are things I like. For instance, Super Saiyan 4. I like the fact I do like Super Saiyan 4 as a cool concept. But he basically has 2 energy balls, combines it, basically compresses it, just boom! They clash. It's like, I will not be defeated. How is this possible? You all got this strong. Yeah, well, maybe if you'd shown up by the time we killed the androids, maybe, or I'd probably be rad to say, maybe if you had shown up after we killed the androids, you might have had an advantage on us. But no dice, Bugman. And then Radditz just comes in and is like, boom! Plus, this isn't how it's supposed to go! And then Goku, or Kakarot, who normally, like most Saiyans, prefer one-on-one, has, grown up in a much smarter environment, he knows, like, perhaps, but this is the end of the Red Ribbon Army. That includes you, Cell. And just, they both, family Kamehameha, blast them into oblivion. So Cell's gone. So what happens now? It's a good question. I mean, do Vegeta and Nappa ever show back up? Probably. They honestly probably don't have any reason to show back up. Do Vegeta and Nappa ever learn Super Saiyan? I'd imagine so. After a while, they probably would. They're going to be nowhere near Goku or his family strength, Kakarot's family strength. But still, I think they learn Super Saiyan. Gohan goes to school, meets Videl. Hercule's still the world champion. He's not the savior of the world, but he's still very popular because he's the great showman. Their little relationship, it forms. The martial arts tournament comes. I don't think, honestly, they participate. Here's the thing. This version of the family knows how strong they are, so they know that fighting really wouldn't matter that much. Although Chi-Chi would probably want even though they're very good friends with Bulma, Chi-Chi probably wouldn't mind the prize money, which is why she probably encourages Kakarot to fight. And Kakarot and Radditz to, join the tournament, win us the prize money. And say, I mean, do we really have to? You were going to do it. You were going to like it. He's like, all right. Jeez. Well, I might as well join in too, sons. So Bardock, Kakarot, and Radditz, and Gohan all join. Now, with Shin showing up there, waiting for Boo and all that stuff, you do have an odd interaction. Because they meet Shin, and Shin does seem odd to them, but they don't know how to place how he feels odd to them. In fact, they think something. It's like he's a there's something that reminds them of Kami, really, some divinity. Kami, meanwhile, is up there sensing this shit and like, could it be the Grand Kai? No, his power seems to be even greater than the Grand Kai. No, it couldn't be the Supreme Kai. What is he doing here? And yeah, that's a good question. Meanwhile, by the way, I should note if Kami's gotten any stronger. Kami, I think, will always kind of be training because he's gained his youth back and he knows that him being stronger is better for the Earth. So Kami is nowhere near the power of like the Saiyan family, but he's still pretty strong. He could probably go toe to toe with Shin if he had to. But you get a lot of the same. I mean, don't get it's like Krillin in the tournament and stuff like that. Sure, like a lot of them will probably show up. By the way, yes, Goten is born. Trunks is born to Yamcha and Bulma. Now, Trunks still looks the same because, let's be honest, Vegeta's hair is also spiky, and yeah, he looked like that weird mop top that he got. So I have no doubt he'd still look the same, but he's not a Saiyan. Unfortunately, Goten does beat Trunks' ass pretty firmly. I do think Trunks probably does know how to fight, learn how to fight too. Just unfortunately, he's nowhere near as good as Goten, unfortunately, because he's got his grandfather, uncle, and brother and father there to help train him. So Goten is probably leagues stronger than where Gohan was at that age, adding on Super Saiyan onto that form. But Gohan, again, still is actually pretty strong. I would put power... Honestly, it's weird, as weird as it is to say, but keep in mind here, he hasn't acquired Super Saiyan 2 because he had no reason to. Yeah, he's training, but he hasn't hit Super Saiyan 2. But I would put him probably at his Cell game level of Super Saiyan strength. So if he had Super Saiyan 2, he'd be his Cell game level of strength because he's had a vast amount of time to just train and study as well. So because he gets to do both. So you get a lot of the same. Spopovich and Videl go on, getting pissed off. And then Gohan face off against Capito and, powers up the Super Saiyan. Yamu and Spopovich steal his energy. Now, Gohan's Super Saiyan 2 form in the canon was equal to about half of Boo's power. But he is also weaker than his canon form. Than his Cell Games form, sorry. So if he had been at Cell Games power, more than likely he probably would have been, and I'm just spitballing here, he probably would have been more like 60 or 65% of Boo's power. So cut that in half. You're looking at Gohan probably equaling about 30 to 35% of Boo's power, which is still pretty large. So anyway, they take Gohan's energy, they heal Gohan, and they head straight after him. Now, once they get there, Deborah squares up with them, and I think Radditz is someone Radditz blocks the spit similar to what Piccolo and Krillin did, and he's the one who gets turned into stone. Unfortunately, and now they're aware to avoid that. So now like we are gonna get your sorry ass. Like, come and get me. And they go into the ship. Pui Pui's obviously the first. I think it's Bardock. I think they basically hand him over to Gohan, if I'm going to be honest. It's like, Gohan, take care of this guy. We need to save me and your father for the big guns. And, he quickly takes out Pui Pui, no problem. Yakon, I think that one is going to go to Bardock. Because Kakarot, I think, said he wants Deborah. So, similar thing here. They're fighting in the dark. Powers up the Super Saiyan, absorbs a little energy. Powers up all the way to Super Saiyan 2, kills Yakon. No problems. Deborah versus Kakarot. Now he knows about the spit. He's avoiding the spit. So they're going toe-to-toe. Goku going Super Saiyan just to feel him out first. And they're roughly equal to each other. Deborah, I think, is still pressing an edge. Then he just goes straight to Super Saiyan 2. And that's where the tide seriously turns. Because it's addressed that Goku and Vegeta were stronger than Gohan was during the Cell games. So, they're going toe-to-toe, back and forth. Actually, there is a power level reading for Goku at Super Saiyan in the Buu arc. It was 3,000 killies, whatever a killie is. It was how Babidi was measuring energy, which means that his Super Saiyan form is 6,000 killies. Now, we do have an actual power level for Deborah. It's 4,000 killies. So we know that Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Vegeta were much stronger than Deborah. And Deborah is is said to be as strong as Perfect Cell. So we now have a gauge to where we can put him at. Goku is probably, Super Saiyan form is probably equal at this point to Perfect Cell's power, if not greater. So even in Super Saiyan, he was probably maybe being pushed a little, but not by much. At Super Saiyan 2, he's not completely decimating Deborah. And basically said, and like Supreme Kai said, if we kill you, it will undo your abilities. Yes, but you first have to. And I don't think you can imagine. He's about to spit, but Goku just grabs him and say, worth a shot. Or Kakarot, I keep going Goku because I'm used to it. Kakarot say, worth a shot. Now, Kakarot/Goku doesn't normally, do something like this very often. Like, he's not a cold-blooded murderer, but family's lives at stake, he'll do what he has to because he was raised by his father as well. So, just blast his head clean off. And sure enough, Radditz basically gets healed. So that leaves Bod to say, no, as we see the energy out gauge has really only hit maybe 40%, maybe 45% from that fight, which wasn't a very long fight, all things considered. No, this isn't possible. There's got to be something. Maybe we'll make a better Perfect 7. He's trying to look for any darkness in her heart. Unfortunately, closest he can find is Bardock, and that's nowhere near enough. Bardock will resist him. No. It's over, Babidi. No! You? It's like, give it up now, and maybe I'll let you live. Maybe. You think you have me, Supreme Kai, but I will not live. Boo will live! Even if he comes out and doesn't come out at full power, he'd still be more than a match for any of you. It's like, don't be a fool, Babidi. You know you can. Boo. I'm trying to think. Don't be a fool, Babidi. I'm trying to think exactly how the line of dialogue would go. If you were to release Boo now, you not only would you be risking yourself, us, or threatening us, you'd be risking yourself as well. Perhaps, but there's only one way to find out, isn't it, Supreme Kai? No! And the egg cracks, and like the top of the. I'm trying to think. The top of the ship gets blown off, and Boo's thing lands, and sure enough, it's like, what? Where is it? Where are you, Boo? And then sure enough, Boo! And it burns up the air. It's like, no. Now Boo's not even at 50%, so his power is pretty. But keep in mind too that Boo's abilities aren't just strictly power level; they are magical based. Like Fat Boo is particularly, but Kid Boo, all the Boos are insanely tough to injure and keep injured. So Boo has arrived. That's where we're going to leave part 9 for right now. Join us on Saturday for part 10. I think I can get squeezed about 2 more parts out of this. I think that's the general route we're going here. Honestly, could I get 1 out? Maybe if I did a half hour. Maybe if I got it a little over, maybe I could end it on Saturday. I think I might go 2 parts, though, just to be safe. But until then, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And hit that bell if you want to be notified. I'll see you folks later. And I got the Pokemon video to do, and I'll be done today. So later, folks.